as all you guys know, we all have rental properties or we aspire to have rental properties. But I feel like a lot of times as real estate investors, we tend to think like, okay, we got the rental property, but do we ever stop and think like what after that, right? Like no one thinks about buying a Ferrari, but no one thinks about or I'm sorry, people think about buying a Ferrari, but you don't think about the $2,000 to $5,000 maintenance per month that you're going to have on that Ferrari or more, right? Like, so I feel like as real estate investors, we focus a lot of our time on acquiring the property, acquiring the deal, running the numbers, but you never think about post the property, right? It's kind of like dating. No one ever thinks about a year or two down the road with that pretty girl or pretty guy. So I'm the one that thinks past that when I buy deals. I think like what does it look like past that? So what I started doing was creating a very small checklist for every 3 or 4 months that I do on my properties. And that's a little excessive. You guys would be able to get away with doing this once, or I'm sorry, twice every year, right after summer and right after maybe 6 months down the road from wherever that looks like for you. These are little things that seem very insignificant, that these things times 6 months cost $1,000 to $10,000. So let's say you find one of these and don't do nothing for 6 months, it's going to take away 3 or 4 years of cash flow. All of a sudden, that sounds significant, right? So let's just get started from there. And if you have questions about one of these, put it in the chat, but we'll get started. Right at the beginning, for me, always really, really important is starting out with the exterior, right? So when I start looking at my properties, and I want to make sure that there's nothing getting into the house, the very first thing I check for, believe it or not, is the gutters. Are my gutters clean? And this is such a simple, stupid thing that everyone forgets about, and everyone thinks it's expensive, but gutter cleanings is like $120 for a single family home, maybe $250 for a 2-story home, but it's so worth it to get your gutters clean. Okay, so gutters are level down to the left or to the right so that the water goes away. What happens when they get covered is they go the opposite way, meaning water goes back into the house, back into the foundation, or back into I'm not kidding. I've walked into a rental property and there's been like a ball sticking out where water has been coming back in, and it looked like the paint had a water balloon full of water because my gutters weren't clean. Okay. This is such a simple mistake that people make that can cost you hundreds and thousands of dollars if you allow it to keep happening and keep happening and keep happening, because you're going to end up getting mold. It can grow excessively if you don't fix that. The next one that I really look at is downspouts. The downspouts where your gutters are they at least 6 inches away from the property? So have you seen that little curve at the bottom of the downspout? That needs to be at least 6 to 8 inches away from the property so that you're not getting a puddle close to your foundation. What ends up happening, I don't know if you guys have realized, when you don't have a downspout that's flowing away from the house, you start getting like a little circle right around the foundation of the house. And that starts getting into the foundation, and that starts cracking your foundation. 6 months to a year from now, that's going to cost you $10,000 to fix because your foundation is going to get cracks. This is how it happens. Water gets into the foundation, and if it either freezes over, it expands, or if it just starts drilling into your foundation, water can do some serious damage. Make sure that all your downspouts at your rental properties are facing away from the property and that it's flowing. The easiest way to do this is get up there with a ladder or hose and just spray at the very top. Look at where it's going, and if it's going away from the property, then you're fine. That's literally going to take you 5 minutes. So be careful about the downspouts at your property. Also, I'll pause real quick. This list is something that you can pass on to your property manager, pay an extra little fee, and they'll do all of this for you and give you a report. Basement vents, foundation vents. This is really important as well. Have you guys ever seen on foundation vents or basement vents where there's like these little black window looking things where you can slide them left and right, and they're like a window to the foundation, or it looks like it's just a way to breathe? Well, you need to make sure that in the winter time, those are closed, because what you don't want is, like for me, I don't want my pipes to freeze over because I left those open. And those are really important to open during the summer because you want it to breathe so that there's no mold under the house. So you open those in the summer and you close them in the winter. Very simple, but people forget to close them and then they end up getting their pipes frozen. A little addition to that, if you can reach your pipes, it costs nothing to go to Home Depot and get the pipe covers. It's like these little, what are they called? Like foam looking silver or gray or silver things that you put on the pipe, and you can just close them onto the pipe. And that's going to save you hundreds of dollars in case you ever busted a pipe because it froze over because you didn't have, excuse me, because you didn't have those covers on it. Do you guys know which covers I'm talking about? The pipe covers? No? Okay, some of you guys do? Okay. It's just a pipe cover that goes over the water pipe so it doesn't freeze over. It's something very important. And for some of you guys that get all the seasons, I would definitely invest. They're seriously like $5. And you can just go under and put them on around the pipe because they have a slit in them and you put them around the pipe. Can save you tons of money. These are all little things that we forget to do until a pipe busts, and now it's really expensive. All right, here's another one. The AC unit. Have you guys heard those like AC commercials? They're like, oh, we'll come service your AC for $99, yada, yada, yada. And they'll just tell you what's wrong with it. Well, you can actually go to Home Depot and buy a $19.99 or $39.99. It's like this little pump sprayer that you can spray the outside of your AC unit. You guys know that the big box AC thing outside, right? The unit with the wind, with the fan. Okay, you're supposed to clean that because what that's doing is it's breathing, right? So what you need to be doing is cleaning that because your fan blade, when it's pumping out the air, it needs to be able to breathe. So you need to have as much airflow as possible. And that's as simple as just having that chemical from Home Depot or Lowe's that'll clean it off for you. A cheaper way to do it is get a leaf blower and just blow it off. Think of it as the filter to your car. You want to make sure you can breathe. You can do it. That's one way to do it, but I typically like to do it with that chemical from Lowe's or Home Depot. Another really simple trick would take 30 seconds is walk around the property and make sure there's no trash or wood close to the foundation. This can cause termite damage, which can end up costing you a $1,500 termite. If you ever go to sell or if you have a termite inspection, Diego knows about termite inspections. They won't make or break a deal, but that's going to be $1,500 you wish you didn't have to spend. Just make sure there's no wood between 10 and 15 feet of the foundation of the property, and you should be okay. And if you don't need the wood, throw it away anyways. Past the termite thing, there's also this red can at Home Depot. It's called like Termite X or something. It's like $15.99, and you can literally walk around your property and spray it. It's just this little bitty sprayer that you just pump, and it sprays all around the house, and it takes care of termites for 6 months. You do that twice a year, you're set. These are little things that you've probably never done, but it'll save you thousands in the long run. And it's just about you could do this whole list in a month by just doing one or two of them, an hour if you wanted to, or less or more. But, you can do these once or twice a year and you should be straight. The water shut off. This is Diego. This is really important. The water shut off cap outside your house. I want everyone to go do this tomorrow. Go buy a blue spray paint and spray paint blue the water shut off valve and where it's at cover tomorrow. The last thing you want is a pipe to bust at 2 a.m. and you're reaching around your grass trying to figure out where the shutoff valve is, right? Or if you tell your tenant, if your tenant calls you freaking out because the water is going off and you're like, oh snap, okay, go turn it off at the water thing outside. Well, where is it at? They've never seen it. I bet half of you guys don't know where it's at. I have like 10 properties. I don't know where half of them are at. But I guarantee you this week or next, I'm going to go out there and spray paint every single one of them blue so that if it's ever happens at 2 a.m, I know exactly where it's at. Guys, do you know what I'm talking about? The shutoff valve cover. So the water, so if you ever have a busted pipe in your yard or in your house, America, you got to turn off the water to the whole house. The way you do that is you go outside and there's this cover plate that opens up and it's got 2 valves. One of them is a shutoff valve to your house, but you have to turn it with the shutoff tool. And if you can't find that in the ground at 2 a.m, you're going to be flooding your house until you can find it. So if you go find it tomorrow and spray paint it blue so that whenever you need to find it, you know where it's at. Post that, the little T handle to turn off the water valve, you need to have that as accessible as a fire extinguisher in your house. Okay? Because you want your tenant or yourself to be able to get it pretty quickly. For you guys that don't have rentals yet, you're probably like, okay, why do I need to be here? Why do I need to listen to this? Because you will have a rental property eventually. Exterior outlets are covered in waterproof. Your exterior outlets, you guys know what I'm talking about, the outlets outside where you can like plug stuff in. Make sure that those are waterproof sealed because the last thing you want is on a heavy rainfall for one of those to short circuit. Really simple, really easy. Just make sure they're waterproof. You can do that by spraying them. Is there any water inside? Nope, you're good. This is just a little extra one. Outside exterior, if you have wooden fence, make sure there's no rotting. Make sure that there's no termites. Make sure that there's nothing going on. Very easy way to do this is spray the exterior and interior of the fence with the same termite and speck repellent all the way around, inside and out, and where the latch is, you should be good to go. If you have a property manager, I would advise you to send them this list and ask, is this something they're willing to check, or can you hire a handyman to go check for you? All right, let's move on to the interior. All right, so let's start off with window tight seals. Window tight seals are really important because this affects a lot of things. Like America was saying earlier regarding your AC or heat, your AC and heat will be working harder if you have any openings in the windows or door seals. So for example, this is a very simple trick that I picked up. Get a sticky note, stick it to your finger, let it hang, and go around the window. If you feel a breeze if you feel the sticky note moving, then you probably have an air leak somewhere that's not tight seal. Two things can fix this: either caulking if you're missing some caulk, or inside weatherproof seal if you have anything like that. The last thing you want is air to get in. Even worse than that is rain water. So make sure that your windows have a tight seal, open and close. Make sure that they all open, make sure they all close. Good to go. The next one is an air filter tight seal. So I will get to the air filter in a minute, but an air filter tight seal, basically meaning when you close the latch on your air filter, is it a tight seal or do you feel it sucking anywhere? And the same thing to do with that is just make sure that there's no air going in that's not being filtered outside of the actual filter square. But around it, if it's dirty, it means it's getting air from outside, and it's probably time to change the filter door because it's not tightening on the filter. Does that make sense, guys? That's one of the biggest reasons that I see coils freeze over, because they're dirty. Front door tight seal. This is an easy one to look at. Make sure that when your door closes, you don't have any air going in or going out. Same thing with the sticky note on your finger or a piece of paper. Go around the door. You're going to look like an idiot, but it's super simple. If you don't have any air going in or out, the piece of paper shouldn't move. Basically, it's like this. You grab a sheet of paper and you go around the door. And if it's not moving, you're good. But if it starts like flapping like this, then it means you got an airflow going in through the front door. You need to get a new front door, a new seal. Maybe the house has shifted a little bit. You need to rearrange the door, and I'll explain how to do that in a minute as well. But that's a really simple one that can cost you a lot of money in the winter or in the summer, depending if you're up north or down south. Last thing you want is to fix an AC unit because someone left the door wide open, or because you have the seal on the doors or the windows aren't tight. Very, very important as well. I know this things sound dumb, but trust me, these are the things why big things break. Okay. Big things like AC units don't just break. Okay. These things break because bad seals or bad filters or fill in the blank. Bathroom vented correctly outside or to the attic. This is another important one. If you guys ever walked into someone's house and they have like black mold in their bathroom, it's because they don't have a good seal in their bathroom or a good ventilation system. Their vent system should go to the outside or to the attic leading outside. This is another simple solution. Turn on the hot water in your bathroom, let it get all misty, turn the fan on. If in the next 10, 15 minutes, it hasn't, all that water or all that condensation or whatever that big word is, hasn't gone away, then you probably don't have the right filter. Or the ventilation system maybe has a hole in it. I've flipped a property once where the vent was going to the attic and I was like, oh, perfect, it's done. I got up to the attic and the vent was just to the attic. So their mold was in the attic. It wasn't headed out. So the vent has a pipe that should go to the either attic or outside. And if it goes to the attic, it needs to go to the attic again outside. Right. So a ventilation system is really cheap, but it's really, really important. It's $100 for the vent and like $10 for the pipe to go outside. It's important because I know, trust me, this isn't the most exciting things, but these are the things that'll save you a lot of money in the long run. All right, kitchen vented correctly, same thing as the bathroom. You need to make sure that your kitchen has proper ventilation for smoke, for whatever. Anywhere there's like water, it can be hot water condensation, you need to have the proper ventilation, right? All right, this is another really important one that I like, light bulbs. I would definitely get the LEDs or the like long lasting ones. They're going to save you tons on battery, but more than that, people don't know. Have you guys ever, I don't have a switch in here, but have you guys ever seen like, have you ever felt like your switch is getting loose? Has that ever happened to you guys where like you flick it up and it's tight but eventually they start getting loose? Has that ever happened to anyone? Some of you guys? Okay, some of you guys haven't experienced that yet, but if you switch your light on, those things don't last forever, right? Eventually, those things are going to get loose and you're going to need to change them by how much power is going in and out, but also the mechanics of how that little thing works. That thing can cause a fire. It can literally pop. So make sure that your light on, up and down switch are nice and tight. The moment they start getting loose, you need to change them out. They are literally like $2.99 or $3.99 at Home Depot. You can watch a YouTube video and it's 3 little cables that you can switch: white, black, and green. That takes me to my next one. Same concept with outlets. Have you guys ever plugged something in and it falls out or it's like super loose? That's probably something you need to change, because that can also spark a fire, right? If it's nice and loose. I've literally, and even in my house, I've been vacuuming before, and the vacuum, the connection that goes into the outlet just falls out. And I'm like, oh, it's time to change that, because that thing has gotten loose from so much in and out, in and out, in and out. Leaks in the kitchen, bathrooms, or sink. These are really important as well. So if you just go under your kitchen sink and all your bathroom sinks and make sure that the floor is not wet. A really simple way to test this is to basically tape a piece of paper to the bottom of where it's supposed to be. If they don't have anything there, make sure that there's no leaks in the kitchen sink. Turn on all the water in the kitchen sink. Look under the sink, make sure nothing's leaking. You should be fine. Make sure all the seals that are holding the kitchen sink where they're supposed to be are nice and tight. If you have any water leaks from there, you can get into some big trouble. So these little fixes can cause you a lot of trouble. I don't care if you have a property management company or not. They're not going to be liable. You are. So you need to keep on top of these property management companies that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Leaks behind the toilet. This is one easy to forget. Behind the toilet, there is also a place that there can be leaks. There's a little tubito that's probably about 10, 12 inches. And that gets old, right? I would change that once a year, maybe once every 2 years, but I would just keep them new because they're $5 and really easy to change. There's even a shut off valve back there. You shut it off, take the old one off, put the new one on. The next one is doors that don't close correctly if they're rubbing the paint. Have you guys ever seen on a door where it opens and closes and it kind of rubs? So that's because the house is settling. And a really quick and easy fix to that is actually to get the door, put some shims. I don't know if you guys know what shims are, like the shims, like the little shimmies that you can put under the door, and then make sure that it closes correctly. And once you get to that point, you can just re-screw the screws that are onto the base of the door. Or the frame of the door. You can just tighten those screws or take those screws out and put longer screws. Another one is if you have a door that closes by itself, or is like if you open it and it just ends up closing by itself. Here's another neat trick. Take the door off the hinges. The little hinges pin, take it outside and beat it with a hammer a little bit, bend it just a smidge, put it back in, and that's going to keep the door tight again. Did that make sense? Okay, so this is moving on to the kitchen. This is really important. A lot of inspectors don't do this, but your kitchen stove should have weights or blocks or something in the back to where when you open the oven door, and if you put your hands on it, that stove should not tip over, because if it does and hits a kid, you're getting sued and going to jail or losing your property, whatever. So next time you're at your rental property, go check the stove, open the door, and let it fall down. If that tips a little, you might want to take it out and check it out, make sure everything's okay. Because the last thing you want is little grandma to be cooking ramen noodles on the top, and the kid comes and pulls that thing down and the whole stove falls on top of the kid. Okay. That's a nightmare. Anti-tip bracket. There we go. Anti-tip bracket. It's got to make sure you have that. Okay. Check that, please. Super, super important. Fridge seals are working. I'm so embarrassed to say this. I had a tenant recently who called me and said that the refrigerator wasn't working. And I was like, all right. So I went and got one off of Facebook Marketplace, $250, went, delivered it, took the old one. And I just so happened to like check it before I threw it away. And the refrigerator worked just fine. What happened was refrigerators have seals around the doors, and it was missing one of the seals. So it was like closed, but there was like a finger worth of gap where all the cold air was going out. So of course, all your food rotted out because you didn't have a seal there that someone probably ripped off. Door stoppers. This is really important. Door stoppers are crucial. People slam the mess out of doors all the time. They just open and swing that door. Don't buy the little stick thingy at the bottom of the door because that bends and whatever's. I buy the pads. There's these little pads that you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's that where the door opens and it actually hits that little door stopper, and then you're good to go. It's like a little plastic thing. They're like 99 cents. If you have 5 doors, 10 doors in the house, whatever, you buy it for all the doors. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Put plastic covers on all the outlets. So this is one thing that I've practiced to start doing. Is you guys know those baby proof what are they called, the baby proof outlet plastic covers? Okay, when you're gonna flip a property or rent a property, go through and put one in all of them. Even if your tenants take them off, that's okay, but the ones that they don't use, those plastic things will stay on for a while. The next one, change the batteries in all the fire alarms. I shouldn't have to say that. Common sense. Change all the batteries in your fire alarms. All right. Another one is 2 deep cleans every year or turnover from rental properties. This is going to save your appliances. This is going to save a lot of things, right? Because, for example, if you get deep cleans, like from a cleaning lady, they're going to clean the oven, they're going to clean the refrigerator, they're going to clean all of that stuff. This is really, really important because it keeps the longevity of the appliances in the house. A deep clean will run you about, so my house is, we have an 1,800 square feet, so about $200. Typically it's 10 cents or whatever on the square footage. So just think about what you got. It's definitely worth to do a deep clean on the house. This also helps with the air conditioning and all that because you're getting all the dust out of the house. Trust me, a deep clean is always great. Next one is roof leaks. Look into a lot of people don't realize when they have roof leaks because it's such minimal, it doesn't rain all the time, but it's really important if you have an attic to go up there with a like a little light or anything like that and just look for roof leaks because roof leaks can be fixed. But if you get a roof leak that starts to grow or starts to create mold, you're going to have bigger problems if you decide to sell or if one of your tenants finds out. I know a lot of the times this never happens, but you don't want to be the guy that gets sued for all his rental properties after 30 years of acquiring them because someone lost their memory due to black mold. You guys want to know the number one way that water gets damaged into a roof? Believe it or not, it's not because of damage. It's because of improper ventilation system that's put in place. The little thing that goes in circles, what is that thing called? Someone help me out. Philip, anybody? A little black thing that spins, or the little small hole, the little pipe that allows the roof to breathe, the attic vent. Yes, that thing. If those things aren't properly sealed, you are going to get a wet roof. Another really crucial one is your attic access. Make sure that your attic access is covered and sealed. If not, that's going to be the quickest way to get hot and quickest way to get cold air from the attic into your house, which obviously makes your AC unit work harder or your heat work harder. If you have a garage, I highly recommend putting insulation or these like silver boards on the garage door. It keeps your garage also more insulated. I went through a lot there. This is what I call my 21-point inspection. Obviously, that was a lot more than 21, but I just keep adding to the list.